Hello Vikings, this is your anchor Lucila.
And your co-anchor Sara.
And welcome to a new episode of PSU-TV, where we inform everyone at Portland State of the latest campus news.
April is National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We recently spoke with Jessica Ammo with the Women's Resource Center about PSU's involvement in this national event. There are several events going on around campus in recognition of SAAM, and this is what Jessica shared with us.
April is designated as Sexual Assault Awareness Month nationally, and this year's national theme is Prevent Sexual Violence on Our Campus. Women are very targeted as a group, so we know that about 1 out of 5 women will be affected by sexual violence over the course of her college career, which is a really significant number. The National Institute of Justice found that about only 5% of sexual violence incidents are reported to campus administration. What we do know nationally from national data is that most sexual violence perpetrated against students are actually perpetrated off campus rather than on campus. Students have 3 different options about how to report incident of sexual violence. So a report can be made anonymously through the campus public safety website, in which you do not require to provide any identifying information. A report can also be made criminally, again facilitated by our campus public safety, and that report will be forwarded to Portland Police. A student can also report an incident internally on the school to the school administration through our student conduct code process. And all of that information and the report form can be found at the Dean of Students website. So we've decided to work with the theme of Sexual Assault Awareness Month 2010, which is Prevent Sexual Violence on Our Campus. And so we have started with the Red Flag campaign, so students might see the red flags out in the park blocks and the accompanying posters in Parkway North and in other areas around campus. And the focus of that campaign, which is a month-long public awareness social marketing campaign, is to really highlight the ways that this is usually a very silenced issue. It's one that's kept very private, and that we want to highlight the red flags of unhealthy relationships or unsafe situations. If there is anybody who is concerned about their own relationship or a friend's relationship, students are invited to contact us here at the Women's Resource Center. We're located in the Montgomery Courtyard. You can find us on the web at www.pdx.edu/WRC or call us at 503-725-5672. All students are welcome to join us.
Earlier in the year, ASPSU went to rally at the Oregon Legislative Session to show support for the needs of PSU and the higher education system of Oregon. We spoke with Stephanie Rio Colliers and Ed Holman, who attended the rally. Here's what they had to say about restructuring and the state of our educational system.
ASPSU is the student government here at Portland State University and basically acts as a hub for student organizing. Right now we're focusing a lot on the potential restructuring that's being proposed, and we really want to make sure that students are as involved as possible in those discussions and all the various stakeholders are aware of those changes as they're happening.
We went down to Salem to lobby on a couple very specific issues. One, to not cut the Oregon University system's budget, so not to cut funding for higher education out of the general fund. And 2, to lobby on behalf of the Oregon Opportunity Grant. Every single other program that's funded by the general fund received cuts except for the Oregon University system. So that's a huge victory for us. We kept our funding where it was, and we got the additional funding for the Oregon Opportunity Grant.
Last year, the Frohnmeyer report came out from Dave Frohnmeyer, who's the former president of the Oregon University systems. And it kind of outlined what's going on economically in our state, which parallels a lot of what's going on nationally with the economic crisis, that being a big deficit in the state budget for funding, particularly of higher education.
There's something called JAFRA. When businesses are hiring now, they can actually run credit checks on their employees. I know for a lot of people, I know some people that have like 80 grand in debt. Having a credit check that came out not in their favor, and was working against them, really prevent them from having the opportunities to get jobs in this competitive job market. JAFRA seemed to be supported almost unanimously by everyone we talked to.
The proposed model is looking at what it would be for Portland State University, University of Oregon, and Oregon State University to be changed into a public corporation model. This is a pretty big change, and it will basically change the way the schools interact with the state and where they can get their funding from. Right now there's this idea of shared governance between the students and the administration, and if this is changed to a public corporation and ran by a board of directors and with less accountability to the state, then there's also potential for less accountability to the students.
Finally, we wanted to touch on some federal issues, namely the DREAM Act and SAFRA, that's a Student Aid Financial Reform Act. The DREAM Act is something where students across the country may have had parents that came without documentation or something like that, or they were brought across the border at a young age. They'd get through K through 12, their K through 12 education, and then they wouldn't be eligible for in-state tuition rates. So you're putting people through who, you know, often come in without a support base, come into the country without a support base in the beginning. Then we have mandates to pay for their K through 12 education, which costs the state a ton of money, but then we prevent them from going forward and getting more education, which actually translates directly into less tax revenue for the state, a greater expenditure to income ratio, which is bad.
We just have concerns to make sure that there's some, if this restructuring happens, that there's some safeguards that are in place to make sure that the students' needs are taken into account. We've been focusing on how to get people in on those discussions and aware of the fact that it is a really monumental change and that it is going to drastically affect not just each student's education, but ripple out into the wider community.
So we're going to be lobbying around that, and there also will be some additional opportunities for students who are interested in getting involved in the process to go down to Salem with us.
There's a lot going on here at Portland State. In sports, we have the Portland State Alumni Soccer Game coming up on May 1st at 5 p.m. at the Stott Center. The track team will be heading to Utah in a few weeks to compete in the Big Sky Outdoor Championships. That will be May 12th through the 15th. For more information about sports and to see the whole schedule including home games, visit govikes.com. In other news, the Fifth Avenue Cinema French Film Festival will be taking place starting April 30th and on through May 1st and the 7th through the 9th. Films will begin at 7:30 p.m. on each of those days. Also, check out the Fifth Avenue Cinema website for regular scheduled programming. The Climbing Center will be continuing their weekly movie screening and game night on Wednesday, May 5th, with games, music, and open ropes for climbers. The movie will be projected onto the climbing wall starting at 4 p.m. For more information about these events and more, visit pdx.edu/events.
This has been Lucila
and Sara
for PSU-TV. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.